And now it's time for the most entertaining, unpredictable prediction show on the face of the earth. It's NFL Weekly Predictions, starring Jason Powers, Jay Sizzle, and Steve Champagne. And now to your predictions.
Hey guys, how's it going? NFL Weekly Predictions back with you. You notice I'm kind of solo right here. I have some good news and some bad news. We'll start with the bad news first, I guess. The bad news is Jay Sizzle had a family emergency come up, and unfortunately, she's not able to join us for the taping of the show this week. However, there is good news. You get to enjoy your time with the amazing Steve Champagne and myself, Jason Powers. Good to have you back here on NFL Weekly Predictions. Steve, what's poppin', what's hoppin', what's crack-a-lackin', my bro?
Man, I'm a little, shall we say, in thought with all the stuff that is about to go down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
What's going down? What's going down?
We talked about Antonio Brown.
Right.
And last week we said,
and he was signed.
Yep.
He was not signed when we were discussing it.
Right, but I'm saying we talked about it. We said, okay, Seahawks. I said I'd like to see him go to the Steelers, the Ravens replace, and then pow, he's a Buccaneer.
A Buccaneer.
He's a Buccaneer.
No one called that.
And now we got trades going on.
You know, there's like 5, football negligent, football deficient morons out there that are big NFL fans that are probably Bucs fans and all called him going to the Bucs. And they think they're wizards now because, they made this outlandish prediction. I bet he gets signed by the Buccaneers. He's going to join Mike Evans. He's going to, and that great crew out there, and Rob Gronkowski and Scotty Miller. And yeah, okay, well, you're geniuses because nobody else had this called.
Yeah, nobody else had it called. Nobody did, but I can tell you that we got some the trading deadline.
I was going to ask if you were a poker player at all.
You
want to deal or should I deal? Everybody's dealing. Wheeling and dealing. That's the name of the game right now.
I'd rather roll the dice and deal cards. So
you're a bones guy. Throw the bones.
I want to watch the wheel spin more than play the cards there. I'm not very good at counting cards, and obviously I'm still last in the picks, so I'm not very good at weekly predictions at this time.
Well, we'll discuss that in a little while. Probably in the next segment, we're going to get heavy into that. Trading deadline's coming up. When is it? It's a week away?
Yeah, Election Day.
Election Day. Okay, and that's Tuesday, and we record this on Wednesday. So, about 6 days.
6 days.
It's coming down to it. There was a trade just this morning. I found this out before I left my house. This is breaking news. For those of you that are not aware, the Bengals traded their all-time sack leader this morning. Carlos Dunlap is no longer in Cincinnati. And he went to, get this, Steve, because I know this is new, you may not have heard this. He went to the Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks wanted to bolster their quarterback rush, and they definitely did that. And they didn't give up that much. They gave up an offensive lineman, B.J. Finney, and a 7th-round pick in the draft next year. I was kind of surprised they couldn't have at least squeezed a 5th-rounder out of the Seahawks. But nonetheless, Carlos Dunlap going to the Seattle. What do you think?
Well, they need defense.
Yeah.
I mean, their defense is close to nothing's close to Dallas. Their defense...
It's not great.
It's not very good. I think they're like 28th or 29th or something. But that's not going to stop Tampa Bay.
Right.
Because I'm intrigued with what's actually going to happen in Tampa. I know they're not going to make any trades, but...
They don't need to now that they signed Antonio Brown.
Of course, there is a rumor that Dallas is willing to trade their entire roster for Tom Brady. Just going to put one guy on the field.
One guy, he'll play. I guess he'll have to play both ends, huh?
Yeah. No. Anyways, no. I mean, no.
This is a good move for them.
You usually make jokes about Cincinnati or the Jets or something, but this year it's the Dallas Cowboys, and I can't help but think, what happened to this at one time very prestigious franchise? It's kind of sad. But let's get back to the trades. We'll talk more about Dallas in a minute. Okay, All right, so Carlos Dunlap goes to the Seahawks. That's going to help them a
It's
lot.
a good move for them.
It's a good move for them.
Yeah, this is really what they needed. They needed a guy that was going to apply pressure to the quarterback, and Dunlap's done that his whole career. This is a good move.
It is a good move.
There's another hot rumor right now. It's just a rumor, and they have definitely explored a deal. These two teams, one of the teams, and that's what I'm talking about. Both teams. The Texans and the Packers have been talking a swap, and it's just in preliminary stages. But some sources say that they are determined to get a deal done. This would send Will Fuller to the Packers, who would pretty much immediately become their WR2. They do need help in Green Bay because it's basically been Devontae Adams or bust over there, and this would really improve them. I'm not a huge believer in Will Fuller, but I know they need something. What do you think about this? If this happens, him going to the Packers?
Well, as far as the Texans are concerned, this season's over. We know that.
Right.
They
they're what, 2-5 now, I think?
Mr. O'Brien pretty much screwed the team, gave away all his draft picks, and then, of course, he got rid of D-Hop, sent him to Arizona, and
cost him his job, too.
They're in complete rebuilding mode.
Yeah.
So them getting rid of anybody. As far as I'm concerned, if I was the Texans, everyone's on the block.
Right, it's a fire sale. Everything must
except
go.
Deshaun Watson. I wouldn't get rid of him. But I would get rid of everybody else, try to get some of my draft picks back, try to wait just for the season to be over with, and then next year.
Well, the one guy they really can't do without is, DeAndre Hopkins. They definitely. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's right. They already dealt their best player.
Yeah. And then Jadeveon Clowney the year before.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, here's a team that was on the cusp of doing something great, and they just blew it.
Hey, this guy's really good. He can take us to the Super Bowl. Let's trade him in the offseason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost as well, I won't go back to NFL history because there have been some bonehead trades. That's for sure.
There's also some news that came out this morning. Patriots defensive stud Stephon Gilmore is apparently selling his house. He put his house up for sale this morning. The Patriots have been kind of trying to ship him. They were in talks in the offseason. They were in talks in training camp, with teams possibly shipping him out. And, on one hand, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense for the Patriots to deal Gilmore, but their defense has been pretty stalwart. It's been good against the run. It's been good against the pass. You're talking their top 6-7 defense in the league. And, so maybe they can spare Gilmore. And the big thing about this, the key figure here, is the number 9.
Well, why is it the number 9?
Because if they are able to ship Gilmore out and get whatever they can for him, they will save $9 million on their salary cap.
Well, they don't have that many big-time players on their salary. If I was the Minnesota Vikings, I would seriously consider going after Stephon Gilmore because the Vikings defense, and of course Mike Zimmer is a defensive coach. He gave up. Well, first off, the Vikings I think had 6 defensive players opt out. That's one of the reasons their defense is so bad this year. They had 6 defensive players opt out of the season. So that's 6 of 11 starters. That's almost half your previous defense.
Gilmore would be a great fit.
He'd be a great fit for there. And then next year when the COVID comes back, the Vikings defense would be back to where it was probably. I don't know what they're going to do with Kirk Cousins, but they're not paying Kirk Cousins as much as people think because, when he made that deal a few years ago, it was $27 million. Now the quarterbacks are $37 million.
Yeah.
So Kirk Cousins is at a bargain price, really, when you think about it.
Well, I don't know about that, but it's not, he's certainly not among the top 5 paid quarterbacks.
No, not what he once was.
Right.
Because, 3 of those years go by. So
that was a silly deal.
Well, not for the Vikings.
Really? How are they doing?
They were doing good. They were doing good. It's just the thing with Kirk Cousins is right now, he's going to have a great career, Kirk Cousins. And what I mean by great career, he's going to make lots of money, and he's going to be remembered for being a decent quarterback. He's not going to be Joe Montana.
You have a lot more faith in Kirk Cousins than I do, brother.
No. I don't have.
You seem to be a big Vikings. Did you grow up in Minnesota?
No, nowhere near Minnesota. But here's what I'm saying about the Vikings. Okay, what I'm saying is this: there was a guy in Tampa Bay, Trent Dilfer.
Okay.
Okay, not very good. I mean, we all know he used to throw interceptions like crazy. He got a Super Bowl ring. He got that defense from the ball. Kirk Cousins is better than Trent Dilfer. And if the Vikings defense can be, if you give him certain tools, Kirk Cousins is fine. He's a great game manager. He doesn't throw many interceptions, and but he's not going to win you games, is what I'm saying. He's not going to win you games. He's not going to make the throw with 47 seconds left.
Right.
He's not going to do that. But can he win you games? He can.
I think you have a lot more faith in him than I do. But I will say that the big loser, he's a big loser in one way that's not under his control, and that's because they let one of their best wide receivers go to Buffalo, and that was a big mistake. That was a big mistake.
Well, they got. I think they got a guy named.
They got Adam Thielen. Yeah. Okay.
No, they got Callaway or something. Some guy named. I can't remember who it was. A rookie. He's doing very well. He's catching balls. He's looking good. He reminds me of Michael Gallup. He just. But again, the Vikings had a lot of people opt out of the season, and I just do not want them to fire Mike Zimmer.
Interesting. We're going to actually be talking about that later on in the show here. Let's move on. I've noticed a trend that's kind of disturbing. You know me, I tend to be more critical of NFL players than congratulatory. That's just kind of my nature. But I have been noticing a trend, especially with young quarterbacks, that I want to bring up. Do you remember several weeks ago, I was commenting on how quarterbacks were staring down their receiver too long?
Yeah, exactly.
And
I remember
we
that.
discussed that at length, and how that's, these young guys, I understand they're young, but they're going to have to get over that hump, because eventually ball hawks on the defensive backs are going to key in on this, and they're going to victimize them repeatedly. Well, I've been noticing another ugly trend. Quarterbacks holding the ball too long. This is really, really bugging me. And I'm going to call this the Daniel Jones effect. That's what the Daniel Jones syndrome. That's what I'm saying, because he is the worst at it. I'm not saying Daniel Jones has some skills. I don't want to completely tear the guy, from stem to stern. But oh my God, will you please learn to get rid of the ball? I do not get it. And I heard some other people discussing this on another program, and I completely agree with the fact that Daniel Jones may not be able to ever become a competent quarterback, because there's some things that you just really can't teach. And when you're an NFL quarterback, you have to kind of develop a sixth sense. You have to develop the ability to know when there's a guy rushing towards you, to know when your pocket is collapsing, to know when there's a dude about to put his hands on you. Look at the guy in Los Angeles, Justin Herbert. You've been praising him. He doesn't do this. He doesn't hold the ball too long. Now, I'm not saying you have to be military regimented with it. It's not drop back 2.5 seconds, fire the ball. You're not a robot. But at the same time, you hardly ever see Herbert hold on to the ball too long. You hardly ever see him stare down his receiver too long, lock eyes with the guy's helmet, 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and then get rid of the ball. You don't see him take ugly sacks when he could scramble out of the pocket or throw the ball away. I'm getting really tired of hearing about Daniel Jones and the Giants clinging to him like he's suddenly going to learn this. Steve, when is this going to happen? He's in, his third year in the league now? When is Daniel Jones going to suddenly get it? And how patient are they going to be with him? Thoughts?
Well, what I would say when it comes to Daniel Jones is this. I like Daniel Jones. I think the Giants could win a Super Bowl with him, but they have to do something.
Really?
Yeah. But they have to do something.
Gonna have to make a lot of progress.
Yeah, like get an offensive line. How about some receivers? Who do they got? Who's the guy?
Okay,
if you don't have separation, you got to wait till the guy gets open. Now, there is something that you talked about, which is very important, and there's such a thing as throwing a guy open. You know what I'm saying? Throwing the ball. Now, he doesn't have that skill, but he does have to have some receivers. I mean, come on. It's like the Jets, okay? They got a quarterback, but is this guy? He runs for his life every time he drops back to pass. The receivers are dropping the balls constantly. How can you correctly evaluate a guy if you don't give him any tools? It's
Man,
like Joe Burrow.
Every week I watch Daniel Jones sit in the pocket and just sit there like a
They're
statue.
not getting open, Jason.
Like a statue. I understand that. He can still throw the ball away. Especially, I've seen it before. Second and three, he's dropped, which, you can pass on second and three. I don't have a problem with the play call. And yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe nobody's open. Maybe everybody's covered. But to sit there and take a 10-yard, 12-yard, 15-yard sack on a second and three when he's already stood back there in the pocket for 3.5 seconds, get rid of the ball.
Well, actually, if he can't, what they need to teach him is this, okay? If he can't, for Daniel Jones, if he can't find a receiver open, do what he did last week. Run. This guy can fly.
Yeah, he can run. But
And I'm saying if he ran, then maybe guys would get open more because they're worried about him running. Because he blew that run. We all saw that. But they clocked him at speeds comparable to Lamar Jackson. And I mean,
I understand
so
that.
I'm
and
saying,
that accentuaes my point. If he can run so well, then why isn't he flushing out of the pocket
Coaching.
and scrambling?
Coaching. Okay, look, wait a minute. Are you here? You're a San Francisco fan. We know that. Okay, Garoppolo. Okay, just Garoppolo
Pocket passer.
Huh?
Pocket passer.
Okay, but does Garoppolo possess the skills to, or is it Kyle Shanahan that is made Garoppolo where he is? You see what I'm trying to say? Coaching has a lot to do with it. Right player, right system. How many times have you seen a guy who is terrible in one system goes to another team and he lights it up, or vice versa? He's lighting it up over here on this team, and then he goes to the other team and it's like, where is he now? Because it's all about system and coaching. You have to give. I mean, are the Dallas Cowboys so bad with 9 Pro Bowlers on their team that they can't win a game?
First, I believe we lost your mic there.
No, we're good.
We're good?
No, we're good. We're good.
All right. Okay, as far as the Giants, let me ask you this. If you are the Giants, if you're the coaching staff, how patient are you with them? You seem to you seem to have more faith in Daniel Jones than I do, and that's fine. Everybody likes different players. Everybody prefers different players. But how patient can you be with him? It's not like the Giants are going anywhere. And he's continually getting sacked when he could be throwing the ball away or scrambling more, and he's clearly not. You're putting that on the coaching, okay.
No.
I thought you were putting
No,
that on
I'm saying
the coaching.
it could be a coaching thing, but he still doesn't have players, and he definitely doesn't have Saquon to help him out with the running game. What I'm saying is you have to have a somewhat of a team. Look don't you think Joe Burrow's doing great? But he at least has A.J. Green to throw to, even though A.J. Green isn't what he once was. Okay? They don't have what he once was. But, other than A.J. Green, Burrow's doing the best he can, but they've only won one game. And I think Joe Burrow looks great. I think we both agreed on that. But he's got a little bit of an offensive line. He's got a little, bit more help.
I'm glad you brought Joe Burrow up, because I've noticed one thing about Joe Burrow.
He doesn't hold on to the ball.
There you go. And another guy that this is troubling me, because I'm kind of a fan of him, another guy that I've been seeing too much of this from, so I don't want to pick on Daniel Jones all day. I did mention I've seen it from several young quarterbacks. And another one, Drew Lock. Drew Lock, he's just a statue. He drops back three steps and sticks his feet into quicksand and just stands there and gets plastered, gets plowed right over, and it's kind of sad to see.
Well, I mean, some franchises are just doomed forever. I'm more worried about if I wouldn't.
We
be
can
worried.
talk about the Browns another time.
What I'm saying, I wouldn't worry about my job if I was Daniel Jones. I wouldn't worry about my job. I tell you, the guy that's probably needs to worry about his job is Baker Mayfield, because here this guy has he's got
a good game.
He did. Okay, he did. I think he might have got lucky.
He started that game 0 for 7.
Right,
and then went 22 for 23. And
exactly.
the only incomplete pass he had was when he spiked it
Right, but I get it. But I'm just saying that he might have got lucky on that touchdown pass. I mean, that was I don't know. Sometimes luck does come into play. I'm not dog. I like Baker Mayfield because of his attitude, but I still would like to see better play from him on the field. I think Kevin Stefanski is definitely doing wonders with that Browns team. He's turning that organization around. Just goes to show you how they wasted the entire season last year with the one guy who should have never been a coach. I can't even remember his name. He's so unmemorable. And he will never coach again. He might get an offensive coordinating job, but, I don't know. I think coaching has a lot to do with it, but I also think you got to have somewhat of a team. Would Tom Brady be as good? If he was in New England right now.
Don't even bring his holiness up.
His
that is
holiness,
not fair.
His holiness.
Why are you bringing up TB12 in this conversation?
Because
Tom
if
Brady
he was playing,
never stands back there and allows himself to get plastered repeatedly, game after game after game. That's the problem with Daniel Jones. And unlike Drew Lock, and unlike Joe Burrow and some of the other guys, this isn't his first rodeo. Daniel Jones has been there for a little while now. And if he hasn't learned by now to stop staring down his receivers and to get rid of the ball quicker, then he's lost. There's no hope for him. You can say that he has the talent to take him to a Super Bowl, but if he's continually getting knocked on his ass because he's not being a professional, and you don't have to coach a guy in the NFL. You should not have to coach a quarterback to throw the ball away when everybody else is covered in certain down situations. He should already know that. You can put it on the coaches if you want, but to me, this is all on Daniel Jones, and it's all on Drew Lock, and it's these guys they need to watch more tape. They need to watch more tape, and they need to watch tape of guys that have been successful in the past. Guys like TB12, guys like Peyton Manning, Peyton Manning, there was no bigger pocket passer in the NFL than Peyton Manning. Am I wrong?
No, that's absolutely right.
He was always rooted to the ground. He was like Groot. He was just rooting into the ground every time he dropped back.
I get what you're saying,
but he threw the ball away when he needed to.
But what I'm saying is this, okay? I'm not saying Daniel Jones will ever be in the league of the quarterbacks you just mentioned, Peyton. He will not. He will not, okay? I'm saying he needs a better coaching and he needs some players to help. I think there's a lot of guys out there that got Super Bowl rings. Brad Johnson. I mean, come on, how great is he? There's a lot of guys that's got Super Bowl rings that shouldn't have Super Bowl
Eli
rings.
Manning has too.
Okay. Well, and Eli Manning, a lot of people say it was luck with that one pass, but,
Fun fact, his career
Joe
record.
Flacco's got a Super Bowl ring.
Fun fact of the day, Eli Manning's career record was under 500.
Well, I get it, but I'm saying Joe Flacco's got a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
Okay. So many guys. I think you can win a Super Bowl, but you got to have some players. You got to have something. Okay. And what I was getting to with the Tom Brady thing is, would New England have won more games this year had they had Tom Brady at quarterback? Now, you got to remember, those receivers are not looking very good.
I'm going to say yes. They'd
They'd
have one more win.
Maybe
I
one
believe.
more.
I believe.
But that's what I'm saying. They weren't going to go anywhere. They didn't give him any help. That's one of the reasons he left. And he was complaining about that last year. That's why they tried the Antonio Brown thing. And then now he goes to Tampa, and what do? They give him the Mercedes, the Jaguar, the freaking Cadillac. They give him the whole thing.
the DeLorean.
Yeah, the DeLorean. They give him the whole thing. And he's not going to win the Super Bowl.
Your
little Miss Holiness comment, or Mr. Holiness, TB12, quote unquote, the greatest quarterback. I will disagree with you that he is not the greatest quarterback of all time. Okay, but that's a subject for another day.
Yeah, maybe we do that next week.
Let's do about I don't know. What do you want to talk about? Coaches on the hot seat. We talked.
Well, I want to mention. I mean, we're going to get into games when we're doing our prediction picks, but I really want to focus on one big game that went on this weekend.
Okay.
And that was, when we were doing our picks last week, I went back and forth regarding the 49ers and the Patriots, and I ended up going with the Patriots, and I kind of regretted it as soon as I said it. I didn't change my pick, even though I thought about it. And the Patriots got blown out of the building.
Blown out.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And not only do the 49ers roll over them, and, man, they were running the ball all day. Look at Jeff Wilson, pretty much complete unknown. He's hardly been battle tested at all in his career. I think he had one good game. What was it, last year? He had one or two when he was pressed into service. It's interesting to me that the 49ers, with all the injury problems that they have had, they're able to just plug in whatever running back of the day is healthy on a weekly basis.
Coaching?
Who's healthy? Raise your hand. Who are you? I don't even know who you are. I don't even know why you have a jersey. Get out there and bang, 4.5 yards a carry. It's crazy.
Coaching, maybe.
Okay,
Coaching, maybe.
is this gonna be the mode of the day? You're just gonna go back to coaching on everything we talk
No,
about.
coaching matters.
I know coaching matters. I understand that, but it wasn't really the coach's fault that the Patriots got. It wasn't Belichick that got blown out of the building that bad. I mean, Belichick is part of that. He's obviously the coach, but Cam Newton played terribly.
Yeah, he did. And,
I know you wanted to talk about this because you had a theory about this.
Well, first off, about the COVID. The COVID thing, he hasn't been the same player since he had COVID and he came back. But, there's a couple other things I do want to mention on last week's game now that we bring this up for a minute. Last week, I was totally wrong about a game. I predicted it correctly. I think, I blew this last week on the picks. But I said that the marquee matchup between the Steelers and the Titans was going to be a blowout because those marquee games never live up to the hype that they always do. And I was wrong. I thought I was going to be right, but, just the opposite because I picked the Titans to win that game and the Steelers to lose. But the Steelers had totally dominated the entire first half, and I was like, see, here's that marquee game. It's going to be a blowout.
That was
I didn't know that the Titans were going to come back.
That was such a fun
And the
game.
second thing I wanted to mention was to go back to coaching. I remember this statement from Aaron Rodgers years ago when Mike McCarthy lost his job in the Packers. I remember Aaron Rodgers saying after Mike McCarthy left, he thinks that his game plan, when he puts it on the field and he brings it to the team, that there's no changing it, that they can win with these plays, and there's no adjustments needed, and because that plan will work, it's guaranteed to work, yada, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And if he hasn't changed, which it looks like he hasn't, I don't know what the hell's going on with Dallas. It still boggles my mind that team is that bad, even with Andy Dalton, and the thing that they didn't help him up after he got that big hit. Jason, that was atrocious.
You're the one, you're surprised that Dallas is so bad. Who picked them to go to the Super Bowl and win?
Yeah.
I did. And you know what? I wasn't the only one. There were a lot of people out there, a lot of experts that also picked Dallas to win the Super Bowl. And I'm getting tired of picking Super Bowl people, of Super Bowl teams. I am. I'm getting tired of picking Super Bowl winners. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm going to do it next year, but I'm going to do it under protest. I'm letting you know that right now. Because, you know who I picked in 2018?
Who?
The Cleveland Browns.
Why did you do that?
Or not 2018. Yeah, last year.
Oh, last year.
Last year, after they signed Beckham.
Wow.
And yeah.
Well,
and
Beckham to me is
Mayfield was on the rise.
Beckham is a little overrated for me. I mean, it's just that at least he hasn't shown me anything in the last several years.
Well, you don't have to worry about him showing you anything for a while now. He's out for the season.
I will say this before we close this segment out.
Yeah.
I said this to you at the beginning of the year, and for those people watching the show, just go back and watch the first week. There's always going to be one team that nobody expects to make it to the Super Bowl, and they make it and sometimes win. And this year, I thought the team, and I think you agree with me on this, the team that has the best chance to make it to the Super Bowl that nobody expected to make it to the Super Bowl is the Tennessee Titans, and I still think they have a chance.
You and I were both big on them in the preseason.
I still think they have a chance. I'm not sold on Kansas City. Baltimore just signed Des Bryant. I don't know if he's going to do any good.
One more note before we move on. In that 49ers Patriots game, a couple quick things. The Belichick said this morning, actually, on a radio show that Cam is not feeling the effects of COVID. In fact, he said he was not symptomatic. He was never symptomatic. So I thought that was interesting. I thought you'd want to hear that because this directly conflicts with your suspicions about him suffering the effects. He said he never actually showed any symptoms. And that is the most troubling thing of all of it because Cam was terrible in that game. Terrible, as Cleveland Brown would say, terrible. And he got benched. Cam Newton got benched. And this is not the same guy that we saw in weeks 1 and 2 when he was throwing the ball around and running around like crazy, and they looked great. You remember that? Weeks
Oh,
1
my
and 2,
God,
they
do
looked
I
great.
remember it?
How is this the same
Do
guy?
I remember it?
What do you think's going to happen from here? Do you think Cam has a short leash now, or do you think they're going to give him some time to work it out?
Well, Cam Newton, I have a love-hate relationship with. I do. I'll be honest, I have a love-hate relationship with Cam Newton. I don't know if I'm rooting for him or if I'm not rooting for him, but I can tell you this. I don't understand what happened last week. How can you look so good and then look so bad? I just don't understand.
He belongs on the Cowboys.
No, because he can win games.
Because they both. Oh, right.
He can win games. I don't, maybe Cam's on the chopping
saying
block.
you're
Maybe
giving
they're
up on
going to
the-
send him to the
You
Cowboys.
giving up on the Red Rocket? What?
I am not giving up on the Red Rifle or Rocket or whatever the heck he is. All
right.
I know is, we got some weekly predictions that we have to do. So let's get.
Well, before we do that, you were talking about coaching, and I wanted to get to talking about coaching briefly. I want to discuss coaches who deserve to be fired. Coaches who are on the hot seat currently and deserve to lose their jobs. Have you got any that come to mind? Any in your mind that pop out? Because I've got a list here of 5 candidates for the next guy to be on the chopping block.
5 candidates to be on the chopping block for coaching.
It doesn't have to be 5, just the names that jump out at you, the first ones that come to your mind.
Mike McCarthy.
I was good, yep.
Mike McCarthy, I think, the other one's already been fired. O'Brien's been fired. Dan Quinn's been fired. I just don't want him to fire Mike Zimmer because I think, I know they traded Stephon Diggs like we talked about, but he had 6 defensive players opt out. That's big reason the Vikings are losing, and I don't think he deserves to be fired for that reason alone.
They got to start winning games, though.
They got to
start
win
winning
at
games.
least 6 to 7 games.
Even 6 right now looks like a tall order.
For the Vikings?
Yeah, they only have 2 right now.
Well, I know, but we're only in week 8,
We're halfway through, exactly.
No, we're not halfway through till after this week. So,
okay.
you get what I'm saying. But I'm just saying,
Let me throw some names out there, see what you think.
Go ahead.
The one guy that I think that really, I don't see how Adam Gase is still a thing. This blows my mind. I don't get
With the
it.
Jets?
Yeah. I don't get it. I mean, I know they're going nowhere. Whoever they put in there to coach is going to fail. But Adam Gase has a history of, this isn't the first team that he's failed with on a spectacular level. I don't see how he's still in the NFL. Doug Marrone from the Jaguars. Nobody really expected the Jaguars to be contenders this year. I thought that they would be competent. I thought they would be competitive. And they have 1 win. They're standing here with 1 win. And it's not Minshew's fault. Minshew's done okay. It's not the running game. They have James Robinson. He's been great. He's been a revelation. Doug Marrone's got to go. Over in Philadelphia, I think it's time to they cut ties with Doug Peterson. This goes back to him playing for the tie in that game a few weeks ago, and they just don't seem to be making any progress. You mentioned McCarthy. I agree with that. McCarthy, I think, is just highly overrated, and it's time for him to go away. And unfortunately, I think they need to cut ties with Zimmer. Minnesota needs to. I mean, maybe not right now. Let's see what happens the next couple of weeks. But I think Zimmer is definitely the Minnesota front office at this point has got to be at least exploring who's looking for a head coaching job. Got to be at least thinking about it.
I don't know, man. Because they had a good defense. Now they don't. And they did have all those players opt out. But here's a fact. An average of 7 NFL coaches get fired every year. Okay? We've lost 2.
Yep.
And you have 5.
I've listed another 5. Yep, there
Okay.
you go. There's your other 5.
There could be the other 5 right there, because there's always 7. I don't know why it's 7.
It seems to be.
Okay.
Sometimes, some years it's 6, and some years it's 8.
For
But
the
it always
most part,
fluctuates
it's always
right
7.
around 7. Yeah, it's
And
the
I'm going,
water
okay.
line.
But if I was the Jets, okay, because you got nothing to lose here. If I was the Jets, I would go after some college guy, who had an ingenious mind offensively to make that team fun to watch. I don't know how many games they would win. It's like because they got nothing to lose. They got no players. They got nothing. So I don't care if you brought.
The cupboard is empty.
If you could bring Bill Walsh back from the grave, he couldn't do much with the New York Jets. Bill Parcells can't save him.
Ditka can't save him.
None of them can save him. The greatest coach, Vince Lombardi, can't come back and save the Jets.
John Madden's still above ground.
Okay.
They could call him.
I mean, these coaches I just mentioned might be able to save the Jets in 3 to 5 years.
Right.
Okay.
And they never give anybody that long.
Okay. So I'm saying that, so the Jets need to just go with some young guy with some wild
The
philosophy.
fact that they hired,
make them fun.
The fact that they hired Gase in the first place blows my mind. I just thought that was
doesn't blow
nuts.
my mind because they recycle these coaches all the time.
And here's the thing about the Jets. When you say maybe they should call some successful college coaches, I'm not being sarcastic.
From a small school.
I'm not being. It's going to have to be, Steve. It's going to have to be.
UCF.
Because I'm not being sarcastic. I'm being. You know me. I'm a straight shooter and I'm an honest guy. All right. I just got to say this with all heartfelt honesty. Who's going to take the job? Who would even want the job? There are a lot of college coaches from big programs that are in the back of their minds, got to be thinking about getting an NFL position. But if the Jets call, are you even going to pick the phone up?
No,
Honestly.
I'm saying you get a guy,
Honestly.
somebody like from UCF,
Yeah.
or
It's going to have to be a small school.
or what's the name of that school? Oh, I love them so much, I can't think about it. Oh, they had the plane crash the one year. Randy Moss went there.
What's the coach from
Marshall?
Okay.
Okay,
Marshall.
get one of these smaller school guys that's got a really innovative offense. He doesn't really go up against your Alabamas and Clemson.
Hawaii's competitive usually. They can call University of Hawaii.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So maybe so he doesn't think, because if you got a guy from a big school to come to the Jets, there's going to be expectations. You get a guy from UCF, you get a guy from Marshall, you get the guy from Hawaii, Washington State or something. The expectation level will be low, and then he can put his offense in and he can experiment and just say, look, I'm giving you a 4-year guaranteed contract. I'm saying at the end of 4 years, on your fourth year, you have to have a winning record. I don't care if you win no games for 3 consecutive years, but on year 4, you got to be 9-7.
Number one, no NFL team is that patient with their coaches.
But with the
Number
Jets,
two,
why not?
Especially
They've
not
lost
the
for
Jets.
40 years. You might as well
Especially
just
not
go
the
ahead and
Jets.
stick it out. But if the Jets,
I'll tell you what, if they get much worse, Steve, they don't even have to worry about calling coaches from smaller universities. If this continues much longer for another year or two, they're going to have to call high school coaches.
oh, will you stop?
I-
Oh no!
Who's gonna win?
high school coach?
Who's going to want the job? All right. Enough about coaches that deserve to be fired. We're going to be back. We're going to talk about our predictions for the week coming up, week 8 here on NFL Weekly Predictions.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.